Welcome back to Lost Legacies,
a Hidden City Book Company production.
I'm Sam,
I'm Matt,
and we are your hosts. Everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in once again for another lovely episode. We're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of it all, but before we do, Matt, how you doing?
I'm good. Just before this, Dad was asking, he's like, am I in today's recording? I was like, you haven't seen Andor.
Oh no.
Like, we gotta find time to watch it, catch up. I did have the idea of what if Dad just joins and pretends like he's seen Andor.
Hey, that could be fun.
That kind of reminds me of I think it was Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay.
Like, it was right before Iron Man 2 or 3, and he was supposed to get Robert Downey Jr. on the show.
Mhm.
And for some reason, like, he canceled at the last minute. So Jimmy Kimmel's out there explaining everything, and he's like, well, Stan Lee's going to be a guest tomorrow night. And he just happened to be in the building. So we just popped our head out and say, hey, Stan, do you want to be the guest tonight? We need the space, the slot. He's like, sure. So he goes out and he's like, no, I'm happy to be here and all that stuff. He's like, go ahead and ask me your questions. He's like, well, what questions? He's like, the questions you had for Robert. And he's like, about Iron Man. He's like, oh, okay, you're gonna answer them? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, what was it like wearing that suit all day? And he stops and he thinks. He's like, hot. And everyone's just laughing. So he does the interview as Robert Downey Jr. Like, oh man,
I love that.
awesome. And then he still came back the next night for his interview. It's like, oh, that's awesome.
That is great. I love it.
No, that could be Dad.
Yeah, that could be Dad.
But let's
Like,
see.
Dad, what do you think about this?
Yeah, because I had said that we could do it like in threes. We'll bring Dad for like the third of each episode, so we can watch like it as a whole.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have the time because of Fiesta and everything. So maybe by episode 6 he'll be caught up.
Okay.
That's the plan anyway.
All right.
But other than that, this past weekend I watched Den of Thieves.
Ooh, how was that?
It was good. I had seen it before, but this was like when it first came out, and I remember not really liking it. I'm like, oh, it's just the poor man's Heat. And but I don't know. I really enjoyed it this time, and it was a long time ago. I believe it was 2018. Do you know how long ago that was, Sam?
It's like a lifetime ago.
Because it doesn't seem like that long, but I was looking at Letterboxd and I'm like, wait a minute. Den of Thieves was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at all the other movies that have come out since then. Oh, here it is. This is gripping podcasting. I know it. Den of Thieves is older than Escape Room 1.
Whoa, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It's older than Captain Marvel. Knives Out. Underwater. Like, just so many of these movies. I'm like, oh wow.
Dang.
Okay, they were just a couple years ago. All right. Wow. But yeah, all in all, I dug it. It's very Heat inspired and Michael Mann inspired, but in the best possible ways. I think they did a good job with their inspirations, but they really made it its own thing. It's really like, this is the testosterone fueled dick measuring version of Heat. You know,
okay.
It's always kind of just alluded to in Heat, but because these are hard men and they're doing hard shit.
Yeah.
But this one is just like, no, it's very in your face. And Gerard Butler as Big Nick.
Oh God. Okay.
It's such a beast, man. Like, when I was talking about Havoc, and I'm like, okay, I won't get too much into the plot, but you're watching a story about a cop with nothing to lose. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
fighting gangsters and all this stuff, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and slight spoiler alert, not really. He's really fighting like corrupt cops. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm all for this. Let's go. This is not it at all. Like, no, like Gerard Big Nick's supposed to be our hero,
Yeah.
you know. But it's really interesting because it's like this world where like there isn't really good guys because like
Hmm.
Big Nick and his crew, like they all suck, man. They suck. And in a lot of ways, you really you could probably feel like you have more in common with the robbers
Mm.
and because you know they're macho me heads as well, but uh you know they're not abusive cops, so so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
all right. But yeah, I really dug it. I love the, I don't know how do you say his name, Pablo Schreier, the guy who plays Master Chief.
Oh,
He's like the porn stash from Orange is the New Black.
okay.
Um, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in American Gods, and
Mm.
he's like the main robber. He's like the antagonist,
Oh, okay.
and it's really interesting because I don't want to keep comparing it to Heat, but it's kind of like the closest thing we have to compare. And Heat is very much, you have these two acting legends, and it builds and builds, and when they finally get the scene together, you know, they're just talking it out, and you're like, whoa, this is quite different. Um, because they build it and build it, but I don't think these two guys ever actually have a conversation. Like, I
Hmm.
think they have one, but it's kind of, you know, like pretending to be somebody else when both of them know who each other are.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just a lot of unsaid, there's a lot of moments because like their paths cross multiple times throughout the movies, and there's a lot throughout the movie, and there's a lot of moments where like kind of typical Matt fashion, like there's no dialogue in the scene. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, interesting, interesting. Like I dig it. So I want you to watch it just from like a directorial standpoint.
Hmm.
Like it's really interesting in the way the plot, you know, plays out. It's a heist movie, so that's always fun.
Hmm.
And yeah. And the main reason I went back to watch it is because I really want to watch part two because a lot of people liked it, and I saw one scene that I really dug, and I was like, oh, okay.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
So I went back and I watched it, and yeah, I loved it. 50 Cent is in it. 50 Cent
Nice.
Jackson, yeah. Um, uh, and what's his name? Ice Cube's kid.
Like O'Shea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's his last
Yeah.
name?
Jackson.
Jackson. Okay, O'Shea Jackson. Is Ice Cube's last name Jackson?
I think so.
Wow. I only refer to him as Mr. Cube. Oh, O'Shea Jackson Jr. Okay.
Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, all in all, I loved it. Cops without limits, thieves without fear. Den of Thieves. I gave it 4 stars.
That's like your average. That's like your baseline for movie ratings.
That's good, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'd say 3 stars is like average, like enjoyable. Four
Mm.
stars good. Five is mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What did you do this weekend?
I don't know. What did I do this weekend?
Mhm.
What was Mother's Day? Happy belated Mother's Day to all the
True,
moms out
true.
there. Um, yeah, so I watched Thunderbolts. Yeah, it's good.
I don't know. That sounds like a 3 star for me.
Moving on.
Not
Uh,
good, but it was good.
no, dude, it was 4 stars. It
Four
was it.
stars.
Yeah, it was 4 stars. Mostly because like I saw a lot of people talking about this beforehand, and I didn't quite understand what they meant. But um, I, when it was over, I was like, oh, okay. So I saw a lot of people saying that like this is like the first Marvel movie that feels like a real movie.
Hmm.
that has like the look and the
Hmm.
feel of like, oh yeah, this is like a movie and
Hmm.
not just like a bunch of green screens and stuff. And then when I'm
Hmm.
watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like obviously, they're still doing green screens and all that. But it's
Hmm.
like they are on some kind of location, or they
Well, I
are on
know
like an outdoor
a
set.
lot of this
Yeah.
movie was practical, which was
Yeah.
kind of what part of the selling point for them, you know?
Yeah. 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 So yeah, so I think like just them like actually filming in these different locations, I think that
Hmm.
really added a lot. Um, it's kind of like what everybody was saying, it's Guardians of the Galaxy meets the Avengers,
Hmm. Hmm.
we got a bunch of loose cannons running around, but now they're forced to work together
Hmm.
and through the power of friendship they're going to save the day, that kind of thing. Um a lot of people were saying that it's like, oh, this is like Marvel Suicide Squad, and it's like it's kind of not.
Yeah.
I feel like they purposefully didn't try to build themselves that way.
Hmm.
And also again, letterbox is a blessing and a curse because I feel like you get one person who like says, one thing and then that becomes the popular thing that everybody kind of takes away from it. So I saw a lot of people saying that like, oh yeah, this was definitely like trying to like ape A24's, style and aesthetic. This is like an
Hmm.
A24 Marvel movie. It's like, no, it's
Hmm.
not. There was one trailer where they kind of made fun of
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that idea. Just because this is a movie that has like a very muted color palette
Hmm.
and they end up really going heavy into like mental health issues doesn't
Hmm.
mean that it's trying to be an A24 movie.
Yeah.
Like, guys, grow up. Read a book.
So I was going to make an example, but I think I'll just use Dad for this example.
All right.
Our father, dear
Mm-hmm.
Pops, who has not seen Black Widow,
Mm-hmm.
has not seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
has not seen, I think those are the two. He hasn't seen either of them.
Okay.
So would he be able to keep up with this movie?
Maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know. There were parts of it where I was watching him like I feel like I missed something. Oh
Hmm.
well. Not like because I still haven't seen Captain America Brave New World.
Yeah.
And they like briefly mentioned that or like
Hmm.
it comes up like twice, I believe, and one's like right at the very end. Um
Hmm.
but yeah, I think Dad'll be okay. I mean, but really, you know, probably should at least watch Black Widow,
Yeah, because I was gonna say
you
all of
know?
these characters are introduced in other movies or shows. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, like, you have Florence Pugh and David Harbour, who
Hmm.
are both like premier characters in the Black Widow movie,
Yeah.
you know? And I don't think Dad's gonna want to watch the Hawkeye show, so then he won't see, Florence Pugh also in that movie as well.
Oh, I
So, or
forgot
in
she was
that
in
show as
that.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. So, you know,
Wow.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, also I think like well, it's like we've said, like I think Dad would enjoy Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Uh
Yeah, probably.
yeah. And also completely forgot, I think that's where they introduced Julia Louise Dreyfus in that show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like
He's not gonna watch
yeah, yeah, probably not. That's
it.
fine.
Too
Uh
it's too much.
well, yeah, and I mean like that's kind of the thing. Like it's the good and the bad of being like this is movie number 36 in this
Gee,
franchise. And
36?
and that's just movies. I'm not counting the shows because if we were
Wow.
counting the shows we'd be here all day. This is movie entry number 36 in the Marvel franchise, which is wild.
That's crazy, man.
So, at some point it is kind of like, hey, you
You
you should have watched something
yeah, you know what
that
you're getting
connected
into.
to this.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And if you didn't, that's fine. And it's like if this is somebody's first Marvel movie, yeah, of course they're gonna be confused, but I think it does enough heavy lifting to kind of like just kind of show like, oh, okay, yeah, like you're supposed to be this person's stand-in, you're this person's villain, you're related to
yeah.
this person, like okay, like yeah, I think yeah, you'll be okay
Okay.
if you haven't seen the other
Yeah.
projects that we just listed. Um, but yeah, all in all, it's fine. I know a lot of people are saying like this is a return to form, Marvel's back, all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't think they ever really went away, but I also don't think that this is a mind-blowing movie experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the action's pretty cool. I really dig a lot of the character development with the characters that get the character development, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't which isn't a whole in this is a team movie, and you would think that most of them would get some kind of thing, and it's
Yeah.
like no, we're kind of really only focusing on two.
Yeah.
But I dug it, I dug the stuff that we got.
That sucks.
um yeah, it sucks. David Harbour also seems like the only person who like genuinely enjoys being here.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else is kind of just like, oh yeah, we've got to act. We've got to actually like act to do this. And like, no, David Harbour's just having
Well,
fun.
because they're all edgelord, Sam. That's the
Yeah.
character.
This is why I don't like.
They're
This is
just
why.
playing their characters.
No. Yeah, I guess.
So now I'm curious, is Doom gonna come out and wipe out this team?
I don't know. It also ends in a very interesting place,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of explains the asterisk in the Thunderbolts title.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that that's interesting. That's a
Yeah.
choice. And I don't know. I like that's kind of what, like because they also have like stylized end credits. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that's what the end credits is about now. And I'm like, oh, huh.
Mm. I mean, I
Sure.
won't
Like,
say it because I did have it spoiled because it's been all over the internet.
oh, okay.
But like I called it, and we're not gonna talk about it here because the movie's still very new. But
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
called that as soon as I saw the asterisk. I was like, I know what this means. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think somewhere in the back of my head I also kind of figured that out, but
Hmm.
that was so long ago and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
And
And yeah.
I mean, it makes sense in the world, you
It
know?
makes yeah, it makes sense in the world, but as the movie went on, I
Hmm.
was like, no, this is the team. This is Thunderbolts. Like they should just keep the name
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. And so
Well, we'll talk about it at some other point
at
in
some future
time
point,
when the
yeah.
movie's not this fresh, but yeah.
After
So,
you've seen
and
it, and
after I've seen
then
it.
yeah,
So,
yeah, probably in anticipation to whatever,
hmm.
whatever comes away. But yeah, four
Yeah.
stars. Florence Pugh kills it. Lewis Pullman, I was
Hmm.
impressed.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I really like when it's genuine, when the characters are being genuine with each other, it's good. When
Hmm.
it's weird, it's really good.
I like weird.
And like the whole third act is very weird, and I wish it was weirder, and I wish the whole thing was weirder. But yeah, it's fine.
Nice.
It's a good movie. It's solid. 4 stars.
Nice. Cool. Well, speaking of shooting with lots of practical sets, we're talking about Andor today.
That's right. We are talking about Andor season 1, episode 4, Aldani, in which Cassian is recruited for a dangerous mission to infiltrate an Imperial garrison.
Is that the planet Aldani?
Yes.
Did we get Stellan Skarsgård's name yet? Because Mon Mothma shows up
Yes.
and she talks to him, and I'm pretty sure she says the name, but I don't know if he's using his real name or not.
Yes. 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 She does. Yeah. She says his name is Luthen.
Luthen. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um,
All right. Cool. What'd you think? First thoughts.
no issues. I'm really glad that like it definitely slowed down compared to the last episode, but it wasn't like episodes 1 and 2 where it
Yeah.
was like a real slow burn. I guess you could describe it as a slow burn, but like so much was happening. And here's the thing. Episodes 1 and 2, a lot of things were happening and setting up episode 3.
Yeah.
This episode, it's doing those things, but it's also telling the story. And
Yeah.
like things are actually happening. So this I liked. Um,
In a
so
weird way, this feels like the first real episode of the show. Where it's like
interesting.
I don't think you could say that about the first two episodes.
Hmm.
And then, especially like how we were saying is like episode 3 was really good, but only when you have the context of the other two. So
Yeah.
really like those first 3 episodes feel like they should work better as a movie, whereas this was a solid like, TV episode.
Yeah. I see what
This
you're
was a
saying.
solid episode of a show.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I mean it's clear like we're actually rebelling now, it's not an act of defense or trying to escape. Like we're actually uh rebelling.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love the location shooting. It's awesome. I love how scary those TIE fighters sound. I was like,
Dude,
ooh.
yeah.
Oh, there's so many little things about this show that like do things in like a different context or a different light. Like that. So you see the TIE fighters in the distance. I'm like, okay, cool. They're coming. And then when you hear them screech by, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard them before, but that was terrifying.
Truly, I think and this is the weird thing where it's like we've grown up watching Star Wars and we've seen it
Mhm.
so many times that like I forget to be afraid of like Darth Vader and of like TIE fighters and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
And when that TIE fighter passes by and it's just this like booming loud screech, I jumped. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
So did I. I
oh
was like,
man,
oh
like
man.
yeah, it's like it's scary.
Yeah. But here's the thing, like outside of Vader, I don't really think anything was supposed to be scary in Star Wars, you know?
Right, 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 right.
Uh but this is such a grounded show. It's scary,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, and
It's like a different
especially,
level.
yeah, especially in comparison to like, we just got off of this planet that didn't have Imperials. They had a security force,
Yeah.
and they were scary because one, they were overbearing, sort of incompetent, but very aggressive,
Yeah.
you know? And they were able to do all of these things, with nothing. So to go from that to then going straight to like, oh, this is a planet that has an imperial base, and here's what we're up against now. It's
Hmm.
such a huge leap, that you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, like
Yeah.
yeah, terrifying.
And this is the first episode where we actually have scenes taking place on Coruscant,
Coruscant, yeah,
Coruscant, where they're all Imperial. I was like,
yeah,
oh
the
man,
Empire proper,
it
yeah,
just it feels it's so different. I'm like, oh wow, this is crazy.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Um, I I mean, I called it like, okay, they're not gonna get to the actual like attack heist thing in this episode. This is all going to build to it.
yeah,
I'm hoping we get to it next episode. I don't want more build up to episode 3. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we'll see. I kind of, although like I like this episode, it's things like that where I'm kind of getting tired of just in TV. It's just like,
Mm,
okay, there's this big thing gonna happen. We're gonna build to it, and I'm like, "Ah, just do it. Just do it. I
yeah.
felt that way through Game of Thrones. There was a lot of that. Um and I was like, ah, damn it. But then like I've watched other shows where like I think Legends of Vox Machina is one where like they tease this really big thing's gonna happen and then it actually happens that episode or
Hmm.
at least it starts. And I was like, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
happens a lot in Strike Back. They're kind of building and building, and you're like, okay, we'll get there next week. Nope, we get there this episode. Like, hell yeah, man, just tell your damn story, just jump in.
Yeah.
So I kind of, so watching this, I knew I'm like, okay, we're not gonna get to it. All right, that's fine. But
Yeah, yeah.
so that's not like a complaint about Andor. It's just TV in general. Um, but
Yeah, I will say for like for Game of Thrones, like that was I mean, you're basing it off of books,
yeah.
and that's how Martin writes. Martin's stuff is very much a build up, but again, like, we've talked about him so much where it's like the way he writes the stories and the way they tell the stories in the show are very different because he kind of does that a lot where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm going to talk about this thing in this chapter and
Hmm.
then 5 chapters later it'll happen, and then
Hmm.
he'll do it again with something else and set the expectation of like, okay, it's going to happen in 5 chapters. Oh no, it happens like next chapter or the end of this one, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, like just to kind of like keep it fresh and the momentum going. Like
Hmm.
I really, yeah, I agree with you, and I like it when shows do that, and I think we're kind of getting away from that a lot, especially with like these prestige shows.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, they only have 12 episodes, and I'm sure like they want to do a bunch of other stuff, like, but yeah, like I appreciate it. I appreciate it in Andor mostly because it kind of at least for me when I first watched it, it felt very like refreshing. Like, okay, I do know what I'm getting myself into. This is a slow burn. Not every episode is going to be action packed. So if I want an action packed Star Wars episode every episode, I'll go watch Clone Wars or Rebels.
Hmm.
This is
Well, it's funny that
this
you
is
mentioned
about the
that
setup.
because there's a lot of comparisons between this and Clone Wars and
Hmm.
how they do these little multi-episode arcs.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what Andor is. And I'm like, hmm. I'm like, that's interesting. And of course, I haven't watched anywhere near most of Clone Wars. I think I saw the
Yeah.
first season,
Yeah, me
but
too.
that's something I really dug about that show. Um, and okay, since last week, I've been watching like reaction channels on YouTube, their
Okay.
reactions to these Andor episodes. And it's kind of cool because, like I've said over and over, like I've been out of Star Wars so long and I don't really care. It's really cool to watch people who like really love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so I was watching Blind Wave and oh, they're such nerds, man. Like they keep pointing out all these little things. And it was really cool that they're like, wow, we've never seen a shot like this in Star Wars. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's true. We have it. Oh man, we've never really heard music like this in Star Wars. I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. We have it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like going back, like kind of watching it a second time with these other guys. I'm just like, that's interesting. Yeah, I never really thought about that. I was like, okay, cool, cool. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
like, I mean it kind of feels like harkening back to like Rogue One. Rogue One was the very first Star Wars movie that wasn't
Hmm.
part necessarily of the saga.
Hmm.
And they felt like, well, let's kind of let's do things different. We're not gonna
Yeah.
have the scroll. We're not gonna have, like the themes for the most part. So
Hmm.
it's all original music, and yeah, like so it's a very interesting thing where it's like, oh yeah, like we kind of also don't really have these characters in Star Wars movies.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I think that's a nice kind of feeling that we have here where it's like this is still set in the world, but it's so far removed from the heightened storytelling
Yeah.
aspect of the saga,
I feel like Rogue One definitely had the privilege and responsibility of being the project that defines what Star Wars is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you watch it and like it's clearly Star Wars, but again, you don't need the opening scroll. You don't need the
Hmm.
theme song, and you're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's once that's stopped, that's when you start seeing like, oh, this is the Skywalker saga."
Hmm.
And this is everything else, you
Yeah.
know, because everything that Star Wars has done has felt like Star Wars to a certain degree, to the music, to the way it's shot and everything. Blind Wave also brought up um, that they're seeing the years. They're like, oh
Hmm.
wow, this is like the first live action we've actually seen the years. Um, Bubble Butt Yoda 5. And then just little things like that. Oh, and then I think when Tim is like reading the warrant for Cassian, it actually
Mhm.
is typing it out on screen, and they're like, "Oh, we've never seen that." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's true too." Yeah.
Yeah,
So
all of it, all of the like text terminals, they're all in, I believe it's called Arabesh.
okay,
That's
yeah,
the text language that's
yeah.
the like canon language in Star Wars.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just really cool to have that distinction, because even like things like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, that all feels Star Wars. But then you get to this and you're like,
Hmm.
dude, I like this a lot. So
Hmm.
I feel like the only project that can come close is maybe Mando, but the whole reason I stopped watching is because it was becoming like too Star Wars and too
Yeah.
like comedic Star Wars, and I'm just like, eh, I'm down for comedy, but I'm just like, you gotta have your limits, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, and it sucks to, again, I'm a big Book of Boba Fett defender, but I feel like that was the show that kind of steered Mando towards that direction because I
Mhm.
didn't necessarily feel that in the first two seasons,
Yeah, me either.
Like even though those first two seasons they're all pulling from other things and
Hmm.
uh um yeah, like I don't know, like it was just its own thing and it was really cool and very specific. And then when you get to Book of Boba Fett, it's also trying to do its own thing, but I feel like it's doing kind of too much.
Hmm.
And then yeah, like injecting this kind of like, you know, for all intents and purposes is like injecting like kind of a Marvel humor to it,
Hmm.
where it's like we're not trusting our audience to like be with the scene and sit with the scene and sit with the characters,
Yeah.
like we gotta kind of handhold our way through. um I dug the finale. I thought it was cool, but it definitely felt like just an odd detour that we didn't really need to take.
Hmm.
And then yeah, when Mando season 3 started, I just kind of was like, I don't know, like the end of Book of Boba Fett did kind of leave a weird taste in my mouth. So then it's like, well, I'll watch it maybe when it's all done. And I still haven't finished
Hmm.
Mando. So
And Andor's finished, right? As of today?
as of this time recording today, all the episodes for season 2 have dropped. So
And
it's
that's it?
official. That's it. It's over.
Wow.
Uh, what a run.
Yeah.
You burned bright and
So
fast.
you said Tony Gilroy had talked about re-editing Rogue One? Is that what you said?
No, Tony Gilroy has talked about re-editing Andor
Into a movie?
into a movie. Now,
What?
now, now, don't now
Hmm.
don't quote me on this because I didn't read it. I was hearing this secondhand, so I don't know exactly how it would work.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I like the idea he had was potentially like re-editing a lot of it so that it could be just like yeah, so it could be a movie. It might be a long movie, but yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Especially too, like I feel like we would lose a lot of smaller character stuff and just kind of smaller like interesting scenes.
Hmm.
One of my favorite scenes in this episode is when uh Cyril is coming back to Coruscant and just walking through the streets of Coruscant
Yeah.
and just going further and further and then deeper and deeper into the city until he's so far below you can't hear the sound of the ships.
You can hear the sound, and it's literally getting darker and dirtier, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, oh
Mm-hmm.
man,
And
that tells you all you need to know about his character.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
wow.
like you see where he's come from. And then yeah, you know, his first interaction with, his mom is that
Hmm.
she slaps him and then cries, gives him a hug, and
Hmm.
ushers him inside. It's like, oh yeah, again, everything we need to know about this guy.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah. Also, like this show has like altered my brain chemistry because uh I feel like when I was younger, maybe even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, I would have been like oh, they got a great action scene. You know, we're going lightsabers, do all this stuff. I kid you not, I was so excited when the character of Deidre walked into frame, and I was like, yes, I forgot. This is where we get to the ISB. This is where we get into like the Imperial like think
Oh,
tank room,
yeah,
like for
yeah.
all intents and purposes, the Imperial CIA. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I forgot this is where that starts. And
Hmm.
I was hooked. I was like, that's what the show has done to me. I'm excited to sit in a boardroom meeting for the Imperial CIA.
With Maester Pycelle.
Yeah, yeah, with my no, with no, because Pycelle was
Oh, he's the guy
the
from
older
Indiana
guy.
Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
This is Qyburn. Qyburn? Qyburn?
Kyburn. Kyburn,
Qyburn.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh yeah,
that's right.
who just crushes it. I'm like, "Oh man, like you're such a
Yeah.
like yeah, he's such a great like just head of I don't even know what his like official title is, but he's
Yeah.
just like the most senior officer and doesn't even let anybody like finish their thought or have their moment. You know, it's just like, "Oh, we've
Yeah.
done this and done this." It's like, "Oh, well, yeah, because your group has done such a great job." It's like, "Whoa."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too to see like there's already playing with like the politics of the empire,
Hmm.
and they kept mentioning Deidre, is that her name?
Yeah.
Trying to like work her way up, and she's like, no, it's not about that at all. And I'm like, and I instantly hate that other guy. Like, ugh.
Oh yeah,
So, but it's kind of interesting because like these are the people Cyril wants to be, you
yeah.
know?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how his story like comes back into it. Um, but yeah,
Well, yeah, and especially too because like, you know, I know he's getting like chastised and kicked out in that scene,
yeah.
but how crazy is that your actions have inadvertently made the Empire
Hmm.
decide, okay, we have to put
Hmm.
some kind of force here on this planet. So good job. Like,
And I love that shot on him because it's like I think the actor is phenomenal actor, and it's like
mhm.
you could see that like I think that's what he wanted, but he's not going to be a part of it
Yeah.
now. So is he the one who does he rebel? I always thought it was going to be the Sarge who's the turncoat. Maybe it's
Whoa.
Cyril.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I don't know. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Hmm.
As far as like this rebel alliance, some may call it,
Hmm.
that we have on the planet. Um, okay, doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. When the one I like the most is the sweet kid who I'm pretty sure is going to be the first to die. Uh, so and I forgot what the girl's name is, but she was the one in Strike Back. I'm like, okay, it's good to see you. Um,
Oh
and
yeah, and
then
she's the new companion in Doctor Who.
yeah, yeah, new companion Doctor Who, and
Yeah.
then their leader is Murder Girl from Game of Thrones. I'm like, all right, cool.
Wait, is that her?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
Arya cuts her face off.
That's right.
She's also
Faye
in
Marseille, that's her name.
she's also in Last Christmas Doctor Who episode with
Oh, okay, okay.
Nick Frost as Santa Claus. Um.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and Ben Grimm is there. I forgot his name.
Yeah. Eben Moss Backrack.
There you go. Yeah. So interesting stuff. It is kind of cool just to see like it's the small group and to see their plan and how crazy it is. And like, all right, Cassian, let's go.
Uh-huh.
But I love seeing what's his name? Lusker?
Luthen.
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 Um, Luthen. I love that seeing him put his wig on and stuff. And I'm like, man, that's a very uh audacious wig. But then you
Right.
start seeing him like change his body language. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. And he just kind of like shrugs it off. He's like, oh. I was like, okay, so he's that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So I'm being led to believe that he's kind of like this kind of life of the party, very charismatic kind of guy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always wanted to play a guy like that
Yeah.
with like like a twist to him. Like the guy in Gladiator, I think he's bald. He's like the big round guy who's all, like at all of the Emperor's parties. He's like, he looks like a toad. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, yeah, because he's the announcer.
Yeah, the announcer. Like I always want to
Yeah.
play like that guy, but like have him be a good guy,
Hmm.
or like even if it's secretly a good guy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But and like in D&D terms, he'd be the bard. He's like, oh, I never get my hands dirty,
Oh,
I'll
for
just
sure,
cast
for
spells
sure.
from afar, So that's what I was thinking. So when I see Luthen
Yes.
become like that guy, I was like, oh, I like it. I like it.
And I love like we also get to see him in, like fully show that on display when we first, meet up with him and with Mon Mothma.
Yeah,
Uh, and he's just, God, like Stellan Skarsgård is such an incredible actor because he's just selling it. It's just like
yeah.
Senator, it's too long,
You can tell he's
all these
having
things,
fun.
like yeah, and it's also such a great moment too where it's like you can see him and his associate, Clea,
Mhm.
kind of thinking the same thing about like, okay, we have to separate the senator from her driver.
Yeah,
So like Luthen's gonna take point, do all this stuff. He's doing all the talking, all this stuff, and then once the senator's far enough away, that's when Clea can move and do it. It's very spy, very espionage. I'm like,
yeah,
man, this is so cool. And yeah, and to see like, like Luthen embodying this role essentially, and then when they go into the back, immediately switch back to the guy that we know. It's just like,
yeah,
if you're not gonna come through for us, then I need to know now. It's like,
yeah.
whoa, this is yeah.
And this leads me to a question
Okay, what's your question?
about appropriation.
Mm,
Do you think when the Jedi were killed off, their like culture was appropriated?
100%.
Because I mentioned it last week or the week before, Luthen's staff thing. It's a straight up, it's a lightsaber hilt,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks
And
like
I'm
it, yeah.
like, huh, interesting. And then in this episode, when Mon Mothma goes home and we see her husband, that dude is straight up wearing Jedi robes under like a bathrobe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so bizarre. Wow.
I haven't read anything about it yet.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they do talk about this, but I know with certain events in season 2, there was some chatter going on, and I did read some like think pieces where it was like
Hmm.
feels like, especially with like uh Mon and her husband, like their culture,
Hmm.
the Chandrillan culture,
Hmm.
it feels very appropriative
Hmm.
to a point where it's like, oh yeah, like her husband technically does look like he's wearing straight up Jedi robes.
Hmm.
Uh get a little bit more into it, like yeah, like it kind of does feel like these people are appropriating like Jedi culture, you know?
It's interesting
Uh
too because, oh, go ahead.
oh no, no. What were
Well, I was
you
just
gonna
gonna say because she's there looking, quote unquote, looking for a gift for her husband,
say? Hmm.
and Luthien talks about that. He's like, "Oh, well, I have some relics of like your people," and they mention of how they don't say these words, but they both the way they talk about it make it both sound barbaric,
Yeah.
and the way he even pulls out like that kind of weapon that
Yeah,
and I'm
it's like a
like,
huge
wow.
like mallet kind of or something. Yeah.
It's like I forgot what they're called, but yeah, and I'm like, man, like who are these people? Klingons?
Right?
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's interesting, and I'm kind of curious about that because I was thinking I was like, well, um, do they just the fact that they're talking about these relics, and then I saw like the Jedi robes and stuff. I was like, I don't know, do they appropriate the cultures that they've destroyed or what?
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
So, and it's also at the same time they're talking about the culture that was on Aldani and how the Empire didn't have to wipe them out. They
Hmm.
just forced them south by bringing the cities and all this stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, that's clever.
Yeah,
That's very
yeah,
clever. Just like
yeah.
the villain in Fast Five. because it's
Does
in
he? Does he do?
it's in Brazil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so he runs all the slums and stuff. So what does he do? He gives them good buildings for schools. He gives
Hmm.
them electricity, water, and education. He says, and if you do that, you can control the people. It's
Oh,
like,
dang.
oh man,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I wish our government did that. Instead of running our country by taking things away,
Wow.
why don't you control our lives by giving us stuff?
Hey, man, it's kind of that thing where it's like, other, uh, like European countries, you know, pay like have a huge like bank of like maternity leave and
Yeah.
paternity leave. All of like a bunch of that stuff is taken into consideration, when you're gonna be a parent, all these different things. And it's like, oh, and you found that your work culture is healthy and people actually are more productive when their basic human needs are taken care of. What a
And
wild
and that's the
concept.
thing too, because it's like for normal, caring, empathetic people, it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, okay, take care of your people.
Yeah.
Whether that's like your community or your country or your employees, you take care of your people. But from the business standpoint,
Yeah.
we're getting the most productivity by taking care of these people.
Yeah.
They're two goals from two different sides that align. I don't know
Hmm.
why all these corrupt organizations aren't seeing that. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care if you're taking care of me because you care about me, or if you or if you want to control me. At the end of the day, you're gonna take care of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that just shows how far we've fallen
How far we've fallen. Wow.
as a
Uh,
society, Sam,
yeah.
as a
Yeah.
culture.
True. Now let me just say this. Like, that's not what the Empire is doing on Aldani because they are still forcing these people away from their homes and their
Well,
ancestral
true,
lands,
true, but
you
it's what she
know?
said. It's how they pulled them away by giving
Mm.
them the things that they don't have because they're far from anything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's more of a manipulation tactic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like they're oppressing themselves almost.
Yeah. It's like, hey, like you're a pre-industrial society.
Hmm.
Here's hovercrafts and
Yeah,
I don't know if Star Wars has replicators, but whatever a replicator
yeah,
is, in this universe. And yeah, yeah. So yeah, meeting all of their basic needs so that they
yeah,
don't have to work. Um, yeah, yeah, which is crazy.
yeah.
What a wild thing. Um, really quick, little trivia, going back to Luthen's antique shop on Coruscant.
Hmm.
In the antique shop, you can find Indiana Jones's whip frozen in carbonite.
Oh wow.
In the shot when Mon Mothma looks at her new driver from the back room.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
cool.
yeah, it's somewhere in that shot. And then I did want to see, yes, there was this
So Star Wars
where
is in the future.
there is a samurai-like armor on display. The mask is based on the Lord Starkiller version of the Sith Stalker armor
Hmm.
from the non-canon game Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
That's cool.
This is the first appearance that the armor has made. This is the first appearance this armor has been made in canon.
That's cool.
Now, none of that. Tony Gilroy doesn't care about any of that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm here for the story. I'm here for doing all this. Like, so he's writing, like the scenes and the characters.
Hmm.
But he's like, but this is Star Wars. Like everybody on my staff knows something about something.
Yeah.
So he really let the art department go like, hey, if there's like a cool thing that you want to put in this antique shop, be my guest.
Yeah,
Uh,
so Cassian's gun is apparently only seen by like another character in like this old Star Wars game.
yeah.
And a lot of people were freaking out about that. I was like, "Oh, that's right." And
Mhm.
I love that gun. That gun looks cool.
Oh yeah, there was another thing too. Uh, so when Luthen gives Cassian the Kyber crystal, he's
Mm-hmm.
talking about like where it came from.
Hmm.
It's the Rakatan invasion.
Hmm.
And that refers to a species that is in Legends, and they first appeared
Mm.
in the Knights of the Old Republic game.
Nice.
Yeah. And that takes place, I believe, 10,000 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Mm.
Uh, baby butt Yoda about 10,000 years ago.
Yeah. That's cool. That scene though was so good. And he's
Dude,
talking
yeah.
to Cassian about it, and he reveals that he fought as a teenager in like these battles, and it turns out that they were fighting each themselves.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh wow. And then Luthien even says like you made it out because you ran. You were the cook or something, and you
Yeah.
ran. I was like, oh crap. Just more. So we don't really know what the timeline is, but it's enough to start putting it together. Like, okay, so he ends up uh with the couple maybe being raised by them, and then at some point he has to go fight in this war.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's building him out. It's building the history, for the world and the character. And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn. So, yeah, it was pretty. I love this episode. It was good. Also, they didn't go back to the where Ferrex, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Ferrex.
They don't go back to it, so none of the characters return or anything. So it was just like new. And I'm also
Hmm.
glad that it was like right where the last episode ended too,
Yeah.
because I imagine that there's time jumps in this because we're supposed to end with Rogue One, so which is 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So I was afraid that it was gonna jump ahead, and we wouldn't get to meet Luthien. Like we would come back and Andor already knows him and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
glad that we're seeing this. We're actually seeing Cassian's become that rebel,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm glad. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're grateful.
Yeah. So, but other than that, man, yeah, awesome episode. Can't wait till next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I want to talk real quick about Mon,
Okay.
because how crazy is it that this is the third time that this actor has played Mon Mothma,
Yeah.
and the first time was in a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. She
Like,
that audition paid off.
right, right, like that, like what that, yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, she's Revenge of the Sith. Where
Eh,
else? Rogue
Rogue
One?
One, yeah. And now I believe since I think she's been in Rebels.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the same actress.
Yes, Genevieve
Okay.
O'Reilly. And yeah, that's just so cool, that like you could
She doesn't
just
show up in Kenobi or anything like that.
no, not to my
Okay.
knowledge.
Well,
Did you
good for
watch
her.
did you watch Kenobi?
No.
Oh, you would like it.
I don't know. I
You would
heard it was
like it.
boring,
I disagree.
but I also heard this show was boring too. So they
Yeah,
could be
man.
wrong.
It's much like The Matrix. You have to see it for yourself.
Oh man. But here's the
Yeah.
thing, Andor's really bringing me back into Star Wars,
Hmm.
but I'm really loving this. And I'm not really looking forward to going back into what we were talking about earlier, quote
Mm.
unquote, Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm really liking where we're at right now. That's why I'm also glad I'm doing these one a week because I still know I have like, geez, I don't know, a lot of episodes to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's gonna happen next time, Sam?
Well, we'll just have to find out, Matt. Next time when we talk about Andor, season 1, episode 5, The Axe Forgets, in which Cassian must carefully navigate the distrust inherent in being the new member of a secret operation.
Okay, so I think the
Is this a
plans.
prediction? Are you making a prediction?
Yeah, prediction.
Okay,
I don't
prediction.
know if we'll get to the actual like heist attack next episode, but it will
Mm-hmm.
be within the next two episodes. Things won't go according to plan, of course.
Mm-hmm. Of
Um,
course.
I like the plan though, how he explains like that celestial event's gonna happen and that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like the distraction. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see that. Uh I think people will die.
Mm-hmm.
It's either gonna be Cuz from the bear
Okay.
or the other big guy
Oh, okay.
because both of them are kind of just the same character at this point. The young guy might die
Okay.
just because he seems like he's very killable. Um
So mean.
It's me, but like they're setting it up as like he's very sweet, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, the Empire guy, I don't know. I don't even know if he's gonna be around because he's kind of behind the scenes, you know? Um,
Oh, yeah, the officer that they have with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. He might be safe. I don't know if the leader's gonna die here or later, but at some point something has to happen to her. So Cassian becomes the de facto leader, you
Mm,
know, and he's like,
mm.
oh crap.
I've suddenly become very important at work and it's messing up
Exactly.
my life.
Exactly.
Oh man. Well, hey man, here's the thing. When when Cassian and her name is Vel, they're
Yep.
walking up the hill, or I'm sorry, when they're walking up the mountain, and he's asking about like the specifics of everything. Uh, I love it where Cassian's just like, "How many are we?" It's like, "With you, now we're seven." Like just like the Magnificent Seven, just
Mhm.
like the Seven Samurai, like which means most of them aren't making it out of here.
Rogue
You
One,
know, were there seven of them in Rogue One?
Cassian,
Cassian,
Jin,
Jin,
Donnie
K2,
Yin,
Donnie
the
Yen,
other guy,
yeah,
K2, and the
Barrett,
spy.
Bodhi. That's six.
Okay, six.
Yeah, dang, one short.
Well, that's why none of them made it out alive.
That's
If
true.
they had seven, two to three would have made it.
Exactly, exactly. Would have had Cassian and Jin acting as Steve McQueen and Yul Brynner.
But it's been confirmed Donnie Yin is getting a spinoff for John Wick.
Oh, I thought you meant for Star Wars. I was like, what? Really? Oh,
He's playing
okay.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. The whole of Star Wars. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll watch that for sure.
Welcome to the battle. I'm General Amulet. Greetings. I'm Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun,
Well,
dun.
I forfeit right
It
now.
all makes sense. No, I saw someone do that in Baldur's Gate 3. They named their character Baldur's Gate
Baldur's Gate
3. So
3.
it says, my name's Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, oh, who is this? Jason Statham?
Wow.
Oh man, I love it.
Someone make the beekeeper in Baldur's Gate 3.
Hmm.
MVPs for this episode.
Stellan. Loved it. Loved the
Yeah,
role.
for sure.
And just the directing. Like I like this definitely felt, I'm gonna look it up right now. I want to see who directed it. But this definitely felt
Susanna White.
Susanna White. Did she do any of the previous ones?
No, but she does the next two.
Okay, good. Because I was gonna say this just it felt completely different from the first three episodes.
Yeah.
Um, and the fact that they're doing them in like these 3 episode chunks, like it works. I could understand like in some shows you'd be like, oh, this just feels inconsistent. But no, like the even like the cinematography, it could be the same cinematographer, but like you have a different director, so she's gonna give you different things to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just it definitely felt different, and I'm glad.
Hmm.
So also the first three really felt appropriate for what it was, which was a very claustrophobic story of desperation.
Yeah.
This is different. This is like opening up more and more to the outside world, what's going on out there, and this idea of actually maybe we can make a difference. We're just a little kernel in the
Hmm.
in the bag of popcorn, and like maybe we can make a difference. So it was just very grandiose, if
Yeah,
that's the word. Very
yeah.
grandiose to the not only like on Coruscant, but on Aldani, and just the cinematography. Everything was big, complete
Hmm.
opposite from uh uh the first three. Even
Yeah.
though there was a lot of like big shots and stuff, it's just the feel and the vibe is different. And
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
You really hit the nail on the head when you said that the first three are very claustrophobic.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what, what we were saying too, where it's like the whole show starts with like the walls closing in, and like
Yeah.
options are minimum now. Yeah, I think the directing fits that. This definitely feels, like we're sprawling out further, especially we were getting new POVs, in
Yeah.
different places. And like it makes sense because this director, Susanna White, has directed a lot of dramas. So she
Mhm.
directed the Bleak House drama from the mid 2000s, the Jane Eyre TV miniseries,
Mm,
a couple episodes of Generation Kill, Boardwalk Empire.
that's a good mix.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so I can definitely see where it's a lot of character ensemble, but
Yeah.
also feels like there are a lot of settings that we have to juggle. Especially
Yeah.
with those like Regency like period dramas too, where it's like, okay, now we've got to open up the world and set the rules and the boundaries and meet all these characters. Yeah,
And so much of it is done through dialogue alone,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Um,
Dialogue, but also, kind of like the thing with Cyril, where it's like, where are you going?
mhm.
Like we got to follow this person. Well, how do we encompass his entire character, or show where he's coming from without stating it, explicitly to the audience?
Yeah.
Well, he goes home from the airport. It's
Yeah.
like there's nobody there to pick him up. He has to walk, and look how far he has to go down into the depths of the city. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I got a feeling that something's gonna happen, and he's gonna want to jump back in, try and get into the Empire. So he's gonna go find the Sarge, and he's gonna have
Mm.
to crash on the Sarge's futon. And they're gonna have like this duo, this buddy cop duo, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to break into the Empire to join the Empire," you
It's
know.
not much space, but you know, we can always share the food. No, because he has such respect for him, he'll give Cyril the
I
bed
I
and
don't
he
know if he
gets the
still does
futon.
though, because he froze in the last episode, and Sarge had to drag him out.
True,
So I don't know. I did like
true.
how like he wanted to speak up and he just rose his hand, and the guy's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, I like this guy. I want to make him in Baldur's Gate 3. He's gonna be a redheaded dwarf, no beard. I'm
No
gonna
beard. What a
I
choice.
know I'm gonna name him Sarge.
Sarge.
So he'll be like a city guard, probably like the new subclass they brought in the game was Oath of the Crown. So
Mm,
paladin who's loyal to who's
the
ever in
crown.
charge.
Yeah.
But also they get very similar abilities to clerics, which I thought is interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Dude, yeah, a paladin
Huh.
has a spiritual weapon and a spiritual spirit guardians. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm in.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
that's another franchise though. So
That's for another time.
yeah,
Maybe we'll get into that next week.
yeah.
But until then, listeners, thank you very much for coming with us on another epic episode adventure of Andor and of the podcast. We really appreciate it. Let us know what Star Wars character you would make in Baldur's Gate 3. Which Andor character would you like? Share your screenshots of you making Luthen and the Sarge,
Hmm.
and oh man, it's too bad Warforges aren't in the game because I would want to make the little bee, the little
Yeah.
droid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, share that with us. We're on all the platforms except for Twitter. # Lost Legacies. Um, just send it out there. We'll find them. You can also send us emails and texts. You can find the information for that linked in the episode description below. Uh, and as always, you can find me on Instagram threads and BluSky at Real. That's REEL Texas Weirdo.
You can find me on Instagram and threads at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, and on BluSky at Matthew Jimenez.
All right. Until next time,
Get
get
lost.
lost.